Welcome back. The Federal Reserve leaves interest rates unchanged for the third straight time. This comes after the Fed raised rates multiple times over this year to combat inflation. The Fed concluded its two-day meeting by keeping interest rates around 5.5%. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says the Fed's goal is to bring down inflation without triggering a recession.
We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Restoring price stability is essential to set the stage for achieving maximum employment and stable prices over the longer run.
Federal Reserve policymakers who participated in the December meeting expect interest rates to fall to 4.6% by the end of 2024, which would mean 3/4 point rate cuts next year. Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy is one of the Republicans saying no deal on sending aid to Ukraine and calling President Biden un-American for not securing the southern border. Pretty soon, lawmakers will head home for the holidays until the middle of January. At the end of the week, it was uncertain if a deal would be made or if it would be punted to next year. The Senate blocked the last bill, but Cassidy is hopeful for another vote.
But we need to have funding for the border, and we need to take care of our allies. So I'm hoping that we do have another funding vote, and I'm hoping in that funding vote we actually have the policies put forward to help address the issue at the border.
Even if the bill passes the Senate, it must still make it through the House. Ukraine's president was in Washington, D.C. this week as part of a last-minute push to get more U.S. funding. He met with President Biden and congressional leaders, but it may be too late for his appeal. Washington, D.C. correspondent Hannah Brandt explains why.
Slava Ukraini.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is back in Washington with a message for U.S. leaders.
You can count on Ukraine, and we hope just as much to be able to count on you.
Right now, U.S. funding for Ukraine is rapidly running out, and the Biden administration is asking Congress to approve more than $60 billion in further aid before the end of the year.
We are determined to help Ukraine fight to defend its territory and its citizens.
But that request is caught up in a debate over immigration reform, with Republicans demanding a strict border crackdown in exchange for any more Ukraine aid.
The only way that we have leverage to make them do the right thing is to say, listen, you're not going to get any more funding for whatever else you want until we control that border.
Republicans and Democrats have been negotiating for weeks, but so far they haven't been able to reach a deal, putting the fate of the wartime funding at risk.
Republicans, and only Republicans, are holding everything up because of unrealistic, maximalist demands on the border.
This standstill adds urgency to President Zelensky's visit as Ukraine's situation grows more dire by the day.
Right now, we risk Ukraine literally running out of bullets. If we do nothing by the end of the year, Vladimir Putin will win.
The Supreme Court agrees to take up a dispute over a medication used in the most common method of abortion in the United States. Now, this week, the justices said they will hear appeals from the Biden administration and the New York-based maker of the drug. The manufacturer is asking the court to reverse an appellate ruling that would cut off access to the drug through the mail. The case will be argued in the spring, with a decision likely by late June. The Republican-controlled House formally opening an impeachment inquiry against President Biden, and the White House calls it a political stunt. The vote stems from an investigation into the president's business dealings overseas, which they say took place with his son, Hunter Biden. Republicans say the president benefited financially from such dealings. So far, no evidence has been produced to show misconduct by the president. Republicans believe an impeachment inquiry could help strengthen their subpoena powers in the investigation. Qualifying for the presidential election has begun here in Louisiana, and all the big names have already signed up to run. Of course, President Joe Biden is on the list. On the Republican side, former President Donald Trump has qualified, along with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Nikki Haley. Now, the primary election is March 23rd, and the general election will be November 5th. Up next, we'll have a look at the week ahead. Stay with us.